Everyone gets shocked hearing this. Inji thinks to herself that even though this is Dojin's first time here, he already knows everything. This guy is something else. The more Inji watches Dojin, the more she realizes that she was wrong to think he was just strong. Isn't this level of strength basically cheating? Then Jian steps closer to Dojin and says seriously, "Be honest with me. Is this your second life or something?" Hearing that, Dojin smiles faintly and thinks to himself that her guess is close enough, he supposes. After that, Dojin asks Inji how far they are from the fisher's core. Inji replies that once they get through this dense jungle, they'll be about halfway there. Hearing this, Dojin confidently remarks that they'll be clearing this place by the end of the day. Both Inji and Jian are surprised by his statement. Inji explains that maybe it's easy for Dojin to think they can clear the rift today, but the rest of her party members can't handle that pace. Most of them have already used up their stamina fighting monsters. Looking at the tired and exhausted party members, Dojin tells everyone to rest there while he goes to deal with Belkara real quick. Inji is startled hearing this, but before she can say anything, Dojin rushes off in the direction of the monster. Inji stands there confused, wondering how Dojin still has that much energy left after all the battles. The scene then shifts to Dojin, who's running swiftly through the forest, searching for the Belkara monster. Eventually, he finds it. Without wasting any time, he charges forward with his sword and lands a heavy strike, but the monster blocks it and counterattacks by launching webs at him. Dojin quickly leaps back, dodging the attack, and in the next instant, he charges again and takes down the Belkara monster with a single, clean strike. After defeating the creature, Dojin exhales deeply and thinks to himself, could this be because he absorbed dark mana using his mana technique? He doesn't feel tired at all. A few moments later, Dojin returns to Jian, Inji, and the others. Jian is stunned to see that Dojin took down Belkara all by himself, finding the situation almost unreal. Inji, equally amazed, mutters that she can't believe it either. As Inji looks at Dojin, she notices that he doesn't even look tired in the slightest. Remaining calm, Dojin tells everyone that he can't sense any monsters in the jungle anymore, so they should rest for a while. Everyone agrees and decides to heal their injuries and take a break. Soon after, Dojin starts cooking some food. One of the party members, a brown-haired guy, curiously asks if he can try what Dojin's making. Dojin nods and hands him a portion. The guy thanks him, but the others immediately ask why he's eating that. Isn't it made from the monster Dojin defeated earlier? The brown-haired guy laughs and says that maybe this food is the secret behind Dojin's incredible strength. Hearing that, the others also decide to try some, wondering if it will actually work or not. As they eat, Inji seems tempted to try Dojin's cooking as well. Watching them, Dojin smiles to himself, thinking that the food doesn't have any special effects besides filling their stomachs. But he doesn't mind people who want to get stronger. To help them out, Dojin discreetly sends a bit of his mana toward them. Moments later, the party members feel a sudden surge of energy, and their exhaustion fades a little. Seeing their reactions, Dojin can't help but smile warmly. Later, Inji informs Dojin that the fisher's core is about the same distance away as the path they've already traveled, but everyone's too exhausted to continue. She tells Dojin that they should head back and try again tomorrow. She then reminds him that he said they'd be able to clear the rift today, but their bags are already full, aren't they? Dojin turns to Jian and asks if she agrees with that plan. Jian admits that it would be a lie to say she isn't tired. Plus, the monsters have become stronger because of the dark mana spreading through the area. Hearing this, Dojin reflects quietly. The original plan was to clear the Fisher Zone as late as possible while gathering rare materials exclusive to Brazil, like the blue Croco's heart. But now, the sudden appearance of dark mana has created a new variable, and variables are never a good sign. Something about this dark mana feels off to him. Dojin takes out the monster cores from the ones they've already defeated and hands them to Inji, Jian, and the other party members. He tells them to take these cores and head back to the hotel first. Both Inji and Jian are shocked by this sudden instruction. Dojin then turns around and says calmly that he'll go and close the gate himself, and once it's done, he'll catch up with them later. Then the scene shifts to Dojin, who is swiftly taking down the swamp monsters one after another and collecting their core crystals. Meanwhile, we see Jian, Inji, and the rest of the team heading back toward the exit. Inji looks a bit worried and asks if Dojin will really be fine on his own. Jian replies confidently that Inji saw Dojin dash off earlier after saying goodbye, and that he still had plenty of strength left. Inji nods, agreeing that it's true. Then, with a teasing smirk, she remarks that Jian's face looks a little gloomy. Is she perhaps worried about Dojin? Jian immediately denies it, replying that she's not worried at all. But deep down, Jian thinks to herself that it's actually embarrassing to even call herself the same S-rank as Dojin. In her mind, she doubts that there's anyone else like him among all the S-ranks in the entire world. Meanwhile, the scene shifts back to Dojin, who is fighting relentlessly, taking down orcs one after another as soon as they appear before him. Soon, a group of orcs surrounds him from all sides. As they rush in to strike at once, Dojin lets out a quiet sigh and effortlessly dodges their attacks. Then, with a swift motion, he channels his fire magic and strikes at them with his magic. Within moments, they all fall, defeated. After taking down the orcs and collecting their monster cores, Dojin calmly moves forward. At the same time, we see Inji and the others successfully leaving the rift. Back inside, Dojin continues his hunt. Now he's obtained the Blue Croco's heart and gathered dozens of high-quality monster core crystals. Placing them carefully into his bag, Dojin presses onward to find the rift's boss. Meanwhile, at the Brazil Hero Association headquarters, in the operations room, the atmosphere is tense. Several members are gathered around the monitors, anxiously observing the readings from the Santrum rift. Suddenly, the data changes, and everyone gasps in disbelief as they realize the rift in Santrum has completely closed. Excitement erupts across the room as workers scramble to confirm the details. One of the analysts quickly asks which team had been dispatched to the Santrum rift. Another worker responds that it was a Korean team, the Silkflower Guild. A different staff member adds that the guild contacted them about 10 minutes ago, saying they were returning and had already exited the rift at that time. The boss frowns in confusion, wondering what's going on. If the guild had already left, then who in the world cleared the rift? The scene then shifts back to 10 minutes earlier, where Dojin is standing face-to-face against the twin-headed ogre. The enormous creature roars, and Dojin immediately realizes that it's a monster that has rapidly evolved due to the influence of dark mana. As the ogre swings its massive arms toward him, Dojin swiftly dodges the attack and takes note of the monster's core location. Getting into his stance, Dojin decides to end this quickly. As the ogre charges forward, Dojin rushes straight toward it as well. He draws upon his powerful technique, the Vangean sword style, second form, a grimoire-based magic known as Grami Grimoire Fora, where energy unfolds in brilliant lines of light. In one fluid motion, Dojin delivers a precise strike. The creature roars in pain, clearly shocked by Dojin's speed and accuracy. Seeing that the ogre can't read his movements, Dojin's eyes light up with excitement. He immediately charges again and strikes at the ogre's other arm before it can react. The ogre howls in agony and attempts to counter, but Dojin darts past it, striking from multiple directions, a relentless barrage that gives the monster no chance to defend itself. Within seconds, the fight is over. The twin-headed ogre collapses to the ground, defeated. Dojin stands there catching his breath for a moment before approaching the rift's core, where the concentration of dark mana is strongest. He observes quietly, realizing that even this close to the core, the density of dark mana hasn't changed. That means it's not flowing from here. Dojin frowns, thinking to himself, could it be caused by some external force? Something powerful enough to fill an entire rift zone with this much dark mana? He realizes that whoever, or whatever, did this would need to possess power equivalent to an undead lord or an imperial lich. But if such beings were truly present, then most people on Earth would already have been turned into undead creatures by now. Unable to make a clear conclusion yet, Dojin tightens his grip on his weapon. Either way, he thinks, if the dark mana is of external origin, then simply closing the rift won't solve the problem. With that thought in mind, he clenches his fist, and with a single, powerful punch, Dojin was able to shatter the core of the dark mana with a single, powerful strike. As the dark energy disperses into the air, he stands there quietly, thinking deeply. Dojin decides that he will personally investigate the truth behind this mysterious dark mana. and who is truly responsible for spreading it across the rift zones. He knows this isn't just a coincidence. There's a real culprit behind it, and he intends to find them no matter what. Then, the scene shifts to the Brazil Hero Association headquarters. Inside the command room, the president sits at the center of the room, staring at the flood of new reports coming in from across the country. His expression grows more and more shocked as he reads through them. No matter how many times he double-checks the data, all the reports seem completely unbelievable. One officer standing beside him explains the situation in detail. On one side, a joint team made up of 3 different countries was deployed, but only a single S-rank hero survived that mission. Meanwhile, another team not only managed to close their rift successfully, but every member of that team returned alive without a single casualty. The president frowns, struggling to make sense of how 2 missions with similar difficulty levels could have such drastically different outcomes. The officer continues speaking, informing the president that they are also receiving breaking reports from other rift zones across the region. Unfortunately, most of those reports say the same thing. The teams either failed or were forced to retreat. The officer promises that he will compile all the information, organize it properly, and submit a complete report soon. Hearing this, the president sighs heavily. He mutters that even though every rift was assigned at least 1 S-rank hero, things still ended up like this. He then looks up and remarks that the only team that actually succeeded was Hero Jian's Korean team. At that moment, the subordinate hesitantly speaks up and says that it's hard to even call it a Korean team. The president narrows his eyes and asks what exactly he means by that. Did he miss something? Wasn't it the Korean team that was deployed to the Santrum Rift? And wasn't it that same Korean team who closed the rift? The subordinate nervously explains that according to all current reports, the rift was actually closed after Jian's team had already exited it. The president's eyes widen in shock. He finds it almost impossible to believe what he just heard. He immediately demands an explanation, asking how the rift was closed if no one was inside, and where Hero Jian is right now. The subordinate quickly replies that Hero Jian and her team should be arriving at headquarters at any moment. The president, startled by the news, stands up and decides to leave immediately to meet them in person. From the moment Jian and Inji's team exited the rift, it took them about an hour to reach headquarters. During that same hour, Dojin had already closed the first rift completely, and, without taking a break, had moved straight into the next one. Now, he stands at the edge of another strange-looking rift. He examines the surroundings and quickly realizes that the core of this particular rift isn't above ground. It's hidden deep underwater. Without a hint of hesitation, Dojin decides to dive in and check it out himself, determined to uncover what's really happening beneath the surface.